in this fabric prison that they can never escape. So that's why I say it. Because nobody else has said to that woman, that's terrible.
And do other people write to you from the opposite perspective?
Yeah, quite a few men write to me.
Men, but any women?
To say that I choose it, I possibly have. I share them all. I think it's important. I set myself up for this particular issue to be a vehicle through which women can send anonymous messages, and I publish. So yeah, I would.
And for viewers, where do you publish that?
letwomenspeak.org /free your face. I do it there, but also on Twitter. So I try and publish as many as come up. And it comes in sort of spurts and starts.
What an absolute hero or heroine. No, seriously. How did this happen? How did
it?
No, all of this.
Oh, this?
Not the clothes, the person. Like, you know, lots of people think this stuff, but not many people walk around the street and say, free your face, or take out a billboard that says adult human female. What happened?
I think I have quite a keen sense of justice, and a huge ego. So the two combined means I can go and say the things that people shouldn't. I think I've always been that person that I refuse to keep what I want to say in my mouth, and I'll just say it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Well, I think we know, actually. Maybe that's a bad thing to say with what happened to Charlie Kirk. But if we don't say it, we go insane.
Well, does that scare you?
Yes. I mean, we don't live in America.
You did a tour of America.
I did, yeah, in 2022. I didn't go to Portland because there was someone who wanted to kill me, so I didn't go there.
Someone you knew wanted to kill you.
He'd better go fund me for weapons. On
How much did he make?
I don't know. How much do you need for a gun? One bullet, one gun. I mean, you don't need much in America. And I thought I was going to lose my life in New Zealand.
What happened?
So I went to Australia, did a tour of Australia. And when I was in Melbourne, well, actually, like way back since I started this, I've been called a Nazi and a fascist. And first of all, it's transphobic, then it's racist, then it's Nazi. Like, there's been a nice evolution of things to try and silence me, which I just think, like, call me what you like. I'll wear whatever label if I can speak the truth. I don't really care what people I don't care about call me. And that will probably even include like really nice things as well. Like, you can't let these people, you can't let it enter you in any sort of way. Like, if I believed that I was this, I'd just be an idiot. But anyway, so I can't be a hero or a villain. I just have to do whatever I want to do. But when I was going over to Australia and New Zealand, well, New Zealand, they had a high court injunction trying to stop me from getting in the country because I was such a terrible person. I did the tour of Australia where when I was doing an event here, two groups of people along, there were literally a group of people calling themselves Nazis. They were very camp, but they called themselves Nazis.
Well, Hitler was quite camp.
Yeah, probably. Well, maybe they were then. And we thought they were Antifa for a start. Like, when the security had said, oh, there's these people in black with black coverings, black blah, blah, blah. So there was that was a big controversy. So, but by the time I got to New Zealand, where they cancelled my hotel, they kept me when I arrived in the country, they searched my bags for like 2.5 hours.
What were they looking for?
Nothing. They were just looking to annoy me because they didn't search me.
Well, they were looking for like violent opinions?
Yeah, probably. Now, I've been touring Australia for about 3 weeks by then, so with no washing done. And so they were putting like all my dirty linen out, like spread it all over the tables. It was, it was just horrible. And then my hotel had been cancelled on my way over. Anyway, get to the point. So I did an event in Auckland, and the police were supposed to be there. And when we got there was about 2,000 people, which it could have been 1,000 to 3,000, but we'll say 2,000. And they all had signs like Posey Parker's a fascist, stomp on a turf, all the nice, friendly, supportive things. And then I got souped where someone tipped soup on my head, and then the mob came. They wanted blood because that's how the mob works. Like, a group of people just turns into just a single kind of cell amoeba type thing, and I thought they were going to kill me. And so there was a point at which, and I had 10 bodyguards. So they just linked around me. So I was in there, got souped, and then we were waiting for the police to come and make sure I could get out, and all the other women. And the security guard just said, "The police aren't coming." And I was like, "Oh, that's quite serious." And they were like, "Yeah, the police aren't coming." And so they put a group around me of 10, all linking arms. I was in the middle, and then we had to get through that crowd of people to the outside of the park. And at one point, I started going sort of falling to the floor, and I got to about 45 degrees. And I was like, "Kellie Jay, if you don't get yourself right now, you'll die. You'll get to the floor, and it doesn't even matter whether it was a friendly crowd, and it wasn't. I'll get trampled to death, and I'll never see my kids and my husband." And I managed to get up, and then you just do one foot in front of the other. And then eventually when we got right to the outside, the police were there, and they put me in a police car, and I had to go into armed protection. And most of the police didn't even know where I was. It was just a couple of officers, and I was in armed protection until I left the country. So yeah, I had an armed escort to the airport, through the airport, and then I flew on Dubai Airlines, Emirates. Oh, it was so lovely.
What's the stewardess uniform?
What, Emirates? Oh, I have no idea. Probably something.
Did you tell them to?
No, I did not. No, they didn't cover their faces.
No, they don't. That's true.
No.
You carried on.
Mm.
Why?
Because I think I'm more afraid of what happens if I don't. Like, if I don't carry on. There are plenty of people in this space now that I've managed to shift a bit of the Overton window, but they don't hold the line quite so much. My view is that there shouldn't be a man in cross-dressing in a school. There shouldn't be a man cross-dressing in the NHS or in the police.
Why?
Because that significantly changes the culture of any place. If you have somebody who is pretending to be the opposite sex. For a start, I think most men are motivated by fetish.
But wait, let me pause.
Yes.
I don't want to be flippant here, but you're wearing trousers.
I am.
Why can't a man wear a dress?
Because I'm not motivated by a fetish wearing trousers.
And so can a man that isn't motivated by a fetish wear a dress in the civil service?
Yeah, but you won't find one. I think when we were younger, David Beckham wore a sarong. I don't think anyone thought he was doing it for a fetish. I think you can tell.
Kilts?
Yeah, I think you can
Ethnic
tell.
Scots.
Yeah.
Kilts, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
So it's about the intention, basically.
Yeah, and we know the intention. We can feel the intention. Like, you don't have to be a genius. You can feel it more than you can intellectually recognize it.
Do you think there are people, maybe a very small number, who aren't doing it out of a fetish, but they honestly believe inside themselves that they're women? They're not women, but they believe it.
What, grown heterosexual men? No.
I don't know if they're heterosexual. Just
So there are two.
could you imagine a psychology where somebody erroneously believes something about their physical being that is false?
Yes, but I think we are so far into transgenderism. We know of old, before porn and before we recognize fetish. We know that some people didn't fit into very rigid roles, and in order not to fit in that rigid role, they would then be a third. But like there were no old, like, people, oh, trans has always existed. Well, there were no men genuinely accepted as women. They just had a different role to other men. So no, I really don't think so. I think maybe we're creating some of those people because we've indoctrinated them as children. I mean, you can never say absolutely.
I must say, I tend to agree with most of what you say on this topic, but I have met people years ago, before this was a really sort of big trend, who, yeah, I believed that they believed in the situation that they were physically a man but felt totally a woman. I consider it a psychological issue that was how they are. Because I also know women who predominantly, sometimes men, who think they are fat and they are dangerously skinny, and yet they keep starving themselves. So there are psychological conditions that I'm aware of where people genuinely believe something which is wrong, and I wouldn't fix that problem by affirming it.